Well, hello. Today's movie is the 1972 Valachi Papers, starring Charles Bronson. Joe Valachi is a mobster in prison. The crime boss thinks he informed on him, so has a contract put out. Valachi manages to escape an assassination attempt in the shower. He later mistakenly kills a prisoner who he thought was an assassin. He decides he needs protection and will become a federal informant. It is here he will tell his story from the beginning in flashbacks. As a young man, he was a hood with a gang that would steal from stores, called the 1 Minute Gang. But he later is inducted into the mob and becomes a wheelman for them. He takes part in the various gang wars of the 30s. He marries the daughter of a former associate that was killed. He gets his own restaurant, has a successful life. He does lose his business partner when a capo orders him to be castrated for sleeping with his wife. He then testifies to the Senate, where the public at large finally finds out about the mafia. He does try to commit suicide by hanging himself with a TV cable, but is saved, and he outlives the crime boss by 6 months. So this was a movie based on the life of Joe Valachi from the book written by Peter Maas. And he was a real life mobster and the first to actually give insight into the mob to federal authorities and, for that matter, the general public, where we found out that there was a mob and it was called the Cosa Nostra and its workings. This was done by Dino De Laurentiis and starred Charles Bronson, and I really love Charles Bronson. You know, him and my parents, we always loved his movies and rented them. I know he started to be a big star, you know, in the 60s, but he was with mostly ensemble casts like, you know, The Great Escape, Dirty Dozen, Magnificent Seven. Went until the 70s where, you know, he kind of became a star in his own right and had a lot of movies. And this is one of them that, you know, he decided to do because it appealed to him that he would be, you know, playing a character like from his late teens to 60s. Now, if you watch this movie, Charles Bronson throughout the whole movie looks the same age. I mean, you know, they grade his hair up at the end, but you know, he looks the same age. There's no change at all, and you know, in some ways, I think in real life he probably looked that way from his late teens to when he died. He just always was that kind of look. And also, you know, he got a three movie deal with De Laurentiis, and you know, he got to star of his wife Jill Ireland like he always does. And so, you know, this movie was moved up about a year to capitalize on The Godfather. So obviously, you know, there's comparisons to The Godfather, and most people think it's very much inferior to The Godfather. Except Charles Bronson did not like The Godfather, apparently. It was, quote, was the shittiest movie I've ever seen in my life, unquote. Although he later recanted this heresy on the Dick Cavett show. But, you know, if you need a trivia answer, who hated The Godfather? Apparently Charles Bronson at one time did. So, you know, it was a mild success, I guess. You know, it earned like $17 million out of a $4 million budget. It has some fun glaring mistakes that they made, like you know, like in the 1930s, he's driving a car into the river, and in the background you can see the World Trade Center, which obviously didn't exist. And later on, when they're like in the 40s or something, the green screen has modern cars around them. Some, obviously funny little mistakes there. On the whole, this is not one of my favorite movies. I mean, it's kind of dry, it's kind of dull, lasts for about 2 hours, and it just seems to mostly be a whole series of just these kind of events that trying to tell his life. But it's not that exciting. I mean, it has its moments. I mean, Charles Bronson does a great job as an actor, and there was like some funny scene where he's getting to marry the daughter, where he's kind of like munching on stuff and being a distraction. It was kind of funny. But for the most part, it's kind of just not really a very exciting movie. I think when you're watching it, you kind of like feel, geez, I think I'd be rather watching The Godfather than this. And I kind of recommend that if you want to watch a good mob film, watch The Godfather 1 and 2. And yeah, so thanks a lot for sticking with me. If you did, you were a unique individual, and I thank you.